Hey, what's going on, guys? Brian from Zombie Guitar here. In this lesson I want to give you kind of like a method or kind of like a plan of attack on how you might go about getting a feel for the Mixolydian mode, okay? Or any other mode for that matter other than, you know, just your regular major and minor scale or just a pentatonic scale, okay? But we're just going to use the Mixolydian mode as the example for this particular lesson, alright? So basically what I was doing there in the beginning was I was just soloing in the C Mixolydian mode, okay, over top of a C major chord, and I was highly focusing on chord tones of the C major chord, but the scalar framework that I was playing in was the C Mixolydian mode, okay? So I'm basically going to break this lesson down into 4 parts, and each part is going to be like a different layer of how you might go about attacking getting the feel for a particular mode, okay? So let's get started. Okay, so the first layer when it comes to soloing or improvising using a mode is to reference it back to its parent major scale. Now, the reason I say this is the first layer is because I think this is the least important thing to do when it comes to improvisation. Alright, this is just my opinion. Other people may have other opinions, but I personally believe that when you're improvising, you shouldn't really relate it back to the parent major scale. And I'll explain why in this lesson. But just for the sake of completion, we're soloing in the C Mixolydian mode here, okay? And the C Mixolydian mode comes from the F major scale, okay? They share the same notes. The F major scale is the parent major scale of the C Mixolydian mode. If you don't understand why that is, I posted a lesson below on the parent major scale and how to determine it. Okay, so, you know, if you don't understand what I'm talking about, check that out. But that's the first layer of soloing with modes, okay? So C Mixolydian mode, relate it back to the F major scale. They share the exact same notes. Okay, so the second layer of this whole thing is to consider the mode that you're playing in as its own unique scale. Okay, so don't relate it back to the parent major scale. Think of it as its own unique scale with its own patterns. Alright, so this is the C Mixolydian mode that I was improvising in the demo. That's what I'm using for this lesson, okay, to explain the concept. So this is the C Mixolydian mode. So its scale root is going to be C, okay? No more relating it back to any other patterns that may be similar to it or the same as it. It is now a C type of scale, a scale root of C, alright? Now, the thing to understand is 6 of the 7 modes contain the pentatonic shell. So here's your pentatonic shell here. So, excuse me, I'm sick, so my voice is kind of, I'm kind of losing my voice here. But the Aeolian mode, the Dorian mode, and the Phrygian mode are all minor types of modes. And the Mixolydian mode, the Lydian mode, and what am I forgetting? And the Ionian mode, okay, are all major types of modes, alright? But they can all fall right into this pentatonic box. for the minor types of modes, for the three minor types of modes, your scale roots are going to be located here. Okay, so this would be the pentatonic shell for like A Dorian, A Phrygian, and A Aeolian. Okay, for the three major types of modes, your scale roots are located here. Okay, so this is for C Mixolydian, C Lydian, and C Ionian. Alright, so this pentatonic shell, everyone knows and loves this pentatonic shell. Now it's just a matter of adding the notes to make the Mixolydian mode. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. So this is what your C Mixolydian mode looks like. Okay, notice that the scale roots are still in the same spots as if this was just, a C. A C major scale or something, okay, or a C major pentatonic. Okay, the scale roots are still here, here, and here. All right, so that's the benefit of thinking of this as its own scale. You can always relate it back to that pentatonic shell that you started out with, most likely as your first scale on the guitar. Okay, so here's your C Mixolydian mode, starting on C and moving to the next C, and then going up again. Okay, so you have your pentatonic shell here, all right, but you're just adding in these extra notes. So, if you're watching this video, you're probably already used to improvising within this pentatonic pattern, okay? Now it's just a matter of adding in those extra notes to create the Mixolydian mode. So let's take a look at the scale formula for the Mixolydian mode, okay? The scale formula is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, flat 7. The only difference between the Mixolydian mode and the major scale is the 7th degree. The major scale has a scale formula of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The Mixolydian mode has a flattened 7th degree. So the one specific note that gives the Mixolydian mode its characteristic sound is that flat 7th, okay? So it would be beneficial to know where that flat 7th scale degree falls within this pattern. All right, so taking a look at this C Mixolydian pattern, okay, your 7th degree is found here, here, and here. Okay, it's the note B flat. All right, that is that's the interval that makes it the Mixolydian mode. If this was the C major scale, you would simply just raise all of those by 1/2 step. As you see here, you just have your regular C major scale. Okay, we can go through 2 octaves with it. Alright, but when you take that 7th degree and you flatten it by 1/2 step, the result is the C Mixolydian mode. Okay, so you have Okay, so that's the scale interval. All right, the scale interval that makes this the Mixolydian mode is the flat 7th scale degree. Okay, so the third layer of getting a feel for improvising with modes is to relate the mode to the chord tones of the one chord. All right, so as I said, there's 3 major modes and 3 minor modes. The 3 minor modes are Dorian, Aeolian, and Phrygian. Therefore, each one of those contains a minor 1 chord. The 3 major modes are Mixolydian, Lydian, and Ionian. Therefore, they contain a major 1 chord. All right. So we're in the key or mode of C Mixolydian. Therefore, the 1 chord is going to be a C major chord. All right. So we're in this little pentatonic shell here with our added notes, creating the C Mixolydian mode. Okay, so the C Mixolydian mode is our scalar framework. So now let's locate the chord tones of the 1 chord, the C major chord. As you see here, this is the C major chord in the G shape, okay? The G shape of the caged system. If you don't know what that is, if you don't know what I'm talking about, I have lessons which I linked to below. I always post links to all the relevant lessons below in the description, so check that out. Here's your chord tones for the C major chord within this framework. Okay, Okay, so it's the C major chord in the G shape. All right, and basically the what I was doing in the beginning was I was just kind of using the scalar framework to walk around from chord tone to chord tone, but the notes that I was holding out on were chord tones of the C major chord. Okay, so it's okay, so relate the scalar framework to the underlying chord tones of the triad. Okay, so that's the third layer. All right, so the fourth layer is where things get really interesting. So check that out. All right, so the C Mixolydian mode, since not only does the scale contain a flat seventh degree, but also the one chord of the mode also contains a flat seventh degree. So the Mixolydian mode is commonly used over dominant seventh chords. Okay, so when you're improvising using this mode, it's very beneficial to know where the chord tones are: the root, the third, the fifth, and the flat seventh of the one chord for which you're soloing over. Okay, so we're soloing over a C major chord, but that could have just as easily been a C dominant seventh chord. Okay, so C major or C dominant seventh. All right, because that flat seventh is part of the scale. The scale formula for the Mixolydian modes: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, flat 7, 1, 3, 5, flat 7. The one chord is the dominant seventh chord. Okay, so as you're improvising within a position like this one, try to get a feel for where the root is, the third, the fifth, and the flat seventh. Okay, that'll really help connect the chord to the scale, which is the goal here. All right, so the root is located here, or one of the roots is located here. So kind of play around with that a little bit. Okay, and then the third is located here, the note E. So kind of play on that a little bit. Alright, and then the fifth will be located here, which is the note G. Alright, and then the seventh, which is both a chord tone and the characteristic note of the Mixolydian mode, is located here. So you can bend to that. I always like to bend to that note, or you can just play it. Okay, get a feel for where that is, and just kind of play around with each chord tone. And the more you do that, the more you familiarize yourself with the root, the third, the fifth, and the seventh within the context of the scalar framework that you're playing in, which in this case is the C Mixolydian scalar framework, the more of a feel you're going to have for the mode. Okay, you're really going to get to hear the mode. You're going to hear the connection of the mode to the chord. All right, and you're going to get just used to the characteristic intervals that make the mode what it is. Okay, which in this case is the flat 7. All right, so I tried to break this down as simply as possible. I'm a little sick. My head's all foggy. I'm all hopped up on NyQuil and stuff, so if I'm a little rambly, a little all over the place, forgive me. But, that's it for this lesson. If you have any questions, hit me up. Otherwise, I'm going to go take a nap. I'll see you later.